Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Burns. I'd like to welcome you to the Rutherford Back to School virtual Back to School night for the year 2021. Welcome to AP Chemistry. I've been at Rutherford since 2008, so I'm beginning my 13th year of teaching here, and it's been a wonderful experience. Prior to that, I was cleaning up my education credits at Northern Highlands High School, but prior to that, I was in the business world for about 30 years before beginning my teaching career, where I acted in the capacity of a financial and management consultant to pharmaceutical companies and basic industrial chemical companies as well. As I look at this course, I think it really boils down to a pretty simple distinction between a practical outlook and a conceptual one. The practical is, let's get a successful experience on the AP Chemistry exam. But as important, and perhaps more important, particularly for the development of one's scientific understanding, is to gain a deeper appreciation for the subject of chemistry at a much more technical and rigorous level than that which was experienced with Chemistry 1. I also think the immersion in the rigors of a college level class and the expectations around students that go with that is also an important experience for them, and one that will stand them in good stead as they progress through their educational experiences. We have so much to cover and really so little time, about 30, 31 weeks to May 7th, which is the day of the AP Chemistry exam. And during that time, we're going to cover such broad structural areas as the atomic structure, which will move into a much more deeper level of understanding than was obtained in prior courses. Chemical bonding and intermolecular forces are the last topics that may be familiar to your students, because after that, we break into material that they've never seen before. And this really makes up the basics and the backbone of AP Chemistry, which is reactions and their kinetics, thermodynamics, and the energy associated with chemical behavior. Chemical equilibrium, which touches upon such broad areas as solutions and acids and bases, but also underlies a very, very deep connection of chemistry and energy, and the understanding that reactions move forward and backward at the same time and eventually achieve some level of equilibrium is a fascinating concept, but one that requires a lot of getting used to. And then finally, we look at some fairly technical issues around entropy and system disorder, and again, the application of energy to chemical change, because the two are so inextricably linked. And yet in earlier chemistry courses, that area is not given as much coverage as is necessary to really develop a proper understanding. So when we look at grading for the course, it's equally straightforward. Tests and quizzes constitute about 45% of the overall grade. Classwork, of which there's a great deal of give and take, discussion, group work, of course, now these days, socially distant group work, and additionally lab work and lab reports that constitute a significant part of the grade as well. Lab work in this course is very important to a proper understanding of AP Chemistry. The procedures are much more sophisticated, the labs are much more involved, and the report writing is much more demanding. And therefore, I attach a higher weight to those grades than to some of the more traditional means of establishing a grade. Class practices, we will, of course, strictly adhere to all the COVID-19 protocols. And when we're working in the lab, I'm going to make sure that your students are as safe and secure as possible, both in the lab and that classroom. Your students are very successful ones. I'm not going to have to exhort them too much to be engaged in this material as we go through the course, but from time to time, I will expect them to pursue work on their own, independent reading on their own, reading ahead of me on their own, and coming to class ready really to participate and ask questions. In doing that, they secure for themselves a much better opportunity to do very well on the AP exam. Communications are critical, particularly now. Parent portal for grades, you're well aware of it, and I'm sure you'll take advantage of it as the year progresses, as you should. Google Classroom will be used extensively for all class-related materials and distribution of those materials and announcements and other issues. Again, your students are extremely capable with that platform. My office hours, if you'll call it that, would be a daily Zoom meeting every day at 1:30 p.m. And I leave that open for all of my students to come in for about an hour and a half each day. And it's kind of like going to the deli. You come in and take a ticket, and you have your questions answered, and we just sort of patiently work our way through whatever queue is developing. I find a lot of people find that give and take is informative in and of itself. So I always encourage it. And finally, communications between you and me. Please feel free at any time to email me at the address provided here, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And like I said, don't hold back. If there's anything that concerns you or any issues that you want vetted with me, I will deal with that just as soon as I see it, and confirm to you. Get a 24-hour turnaround standard at the most. So we will have a very interesting year. It'll be a very full and productive year. Your students will enjoy it a great deal if they put into it as much effort as I'm sure they've already put into their prior classes. I hope you all stay well and safe. I look forward very much to an opportunity someday to meet you face to face and even shake hands again, I suppose. But we don't know when that might be. But in any event, I will look forward to it. Take care. Good night.